This is Hannah Williamson. I'm going to try to reach out to her since nobody else is reaching back out to me. I want to critique something she said and I add to it.
And so the Lord doesn't tell us, don't do all these sins because he doesn't want us to have a fun life, because sin can be fun for a season. But just like I said earlier, your sin will find you out, and sin has consequences. So if you are doing things...
Okay. So basically she's saying, the Lord doesn't tell you not to commit adultery, not to break the Sabbath, not to steal, because it's not that he wants you not to have fun. It's for our own good. The Lord commands you not to do everything he commands you not to do because it's for your own good. Babes, that's just half the story. What about the command to worship God, number one, and only God? How is that for? That's for his good, not for our good. Oh, wait a minute. It is for our good because, if we worship God, we feel complete because we identify with what we worship. Why do you think sports riots happen? Because when their team lost, those fans feel like they lost because they identify their identity with that team that lost. And that's why they're raging in the streets. Because not only did their team lose, they vicariously lost when the team lost. So if you worship God, everything you vicariously you identify with everything that God is, which is everything. Without God, you cannot exist. He supplies your breath, your sustenance, and everything you ever need, ever will need, or ever needed. But there's another way to look at it. God created this universe in such a way so that the commands he would issue that were for you, that would be for your own good, would be for your own good because they glorify him. It's not like Rick Warren said, it's not about us, it's all about him. God commands you to give everything to him for his sake and his glory. And when you do that, it will be well with you. Everything will work out for you. God is pure, meaning everything has to be purely about God. And if everything that goes to God, who is life, will live. And everything that goes from God will go to death. But everything comes back to God, whether good and evil. So the evil comes back to God in punishment because darkness cannot stand before light. There can be no darkness where light is. Yet God is everywhere. And God is light. So whether the darkness has to go somewhere. And the only way darkness can stand before God, who is light, is it must be punished, repudiated, repelled. And the only way that can happen is those who are dark do not get to enjoy the benefits of what God is. Life, light, love, pleasure, food. Because if that which is evil, that which is dark, and that by that all that goes to God and worship to God and glorifying God is light. All that goes away from God is darkness. If one person who is dark got all the blessings of God who is life, love, light, the God would no longer be pure. That is why Jesus had to die, because sin is death. When We're getting. Let me see. Let me think. I'm trying to find the words to say. Okay, when the devil sinned, once you commit a sin, you cannot uncommit that sin. Matt Dillahunty castigates Christians for believing in hell, infinite punishment for finite sins. But let me tell you something. If you steal a penny from me, no matter how long time goes, it will never be true that you never stole that penny from me. It will always be true for all of eternity that you stole that penny from me. And that's a black mark. That's a black mark that mars the purity. But when through the human race, when man sinned, death was invented. God, what death is we're given over into the devil's hand. So, but damn, I wish I could find the words to explain what I'm trying to say. But when we die, we are turned over to the devil and his eternal punishment. But while we're alive, we have been given over to the devil. But since death is the penalty for sin, for human beings, and not eternal banishment from God, it will be eternal banishment once you die. It's called the second death. I hope you can arrive at the same conclusions as I have without me having to explain. But when Jesus died, he never sinned a day in his life. He paid the penalty for the sin. And that satisfies the purity of God. But did you know that when Jesus died, he not only died for our sins, but when God forsook him, Jesus was actually eternally damned. Yes. Not only did he die, he was eternally damned, given over into the devil's hand forever and ever. But there's just one thing. Since Jesus was God, the devil couldn't keep him. And Jesus was able, because he is God, to take himself from the hand of the devil. And when he rose again, because he died, paid our penalty for sin, which is death, when he had never sinned, this creates a reverse debt. And our sins can be washed away. Man, I just made a mess out of it. I hope I explained myself better.